We all have idols while growing up, and it's not necessary for them to be actual deities, you know. After all, if you have the attitude of a god and can gather a cult following, then you're good in my books. Keeping that in mind, let's go over some god movie scenes, and please remember to like and subscribe. Before we carry on, I want to talk about the latest updates on the blockbuster game Marvel Contest of Champions. I've been playing this game since the moment it came out, and just so you know, there are some insane events happening in December. It's already cool enough for me to play with over 250 characters, including my personal faves like Iron Man and Wolverine. So let me break down just how awesome December's gonna be for you. To kick things off, we're getting a new character in Onslaught, who's basically a hybrid version of Professor X and Magneto. Yeah, this guy's gonna be one tough cookie. Of course, there's always room for something funny, which is why we're also getting a holiday event with the Red Guardian, who's going through a case of mistaken identity because people keep confusing him for Santa Claus. However, the most important news is that the MCOC is turning 9 years old, so they've decided to reward us with an anniversary event from the 10th to the 17th of December. They're going all out this time, giving players free items just for logging in every day. On top of that, you can try out some special crystal shard arenas to win prizes as valuable as a 7-star champion. The best part is that the game is totally free to download, and they're giving away special bonuses to all their returning players. So what are you waiting for? If you want high quality freebies, then head over to the link in my description and download Marvel Contest of Champions now. Remember, it's completely free to download on the App Store and Google Play.
Not without incident.
Come on now. I think we can all agree that Patrick Bateman is the undisputed god of Sigma male characters. We might actually make tons of memes about him on TikTok and Instagram, but that's actually a testament to Christian Bale's superb acting. Another movie where he goes just as crazy is 2002's Equilibrium. The hallway shootout has got to be one of the most ridiculous moments I've ever seen, but it's pretty much like a God mode scene if you look at how confident John Preston is in the scene. Bro literally threw his mags onto the battlefield and reloaded in the middle of the shootout in impeccable fashion. It's like he's playing a video game with the cheat codes on. While I do believe that the fight is epic and highly underrated, I do want to point out something that had me in splits. The most insane part of this whole sequence is the two guards on the other side of the door. They get shot right at the end. Like, were they completely unaware of the hundreds of shots being fired before this?
That's what you have to decide your fate. 9 seconds.
You know how much I love Denzel Washington. You could even say that the TV region is one of his most loyal devotees.
You smart. You loyal. I appreciate that.
So when the third installment of the Equalizer franchise came out, I was quick to book my tickets to that first screening. Needless to say, Robert McCall didn't disappoint, and the scene where he shoots down all those mafia goons in the space of 10 business seconds was a whole other level of elite behavior. This had some of the goriest shots ever in the franchise, and it almost gave off John Wick vibes, especially with the way Robert shoots through a man's literal eye. Yeah, this was brutal beyond my wildest imagination. You could even call it unholy, but then again, this is exactly the kind of stuff that Denzel is made for. The whole timing aspect of his attacks is also something that really makes him stand out as a scary action hero. Bro's always on schedule when he's killing bad guys.
Said it yourself, bitch. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy.
You know, the Guardians of the Galaxy aren't exactly the most overpowered heroes of the MCU, but what they managed to accomplish in their first ever outing is yet to be replicated. Taking down someone like Ronan is a task and a half, considering how he managed to make Drax look like a little wimp. On top of that, surviving the wrath of a freaking Infinity Stone is a whole other level of flexing. The best way to describe this scene in particular is that the Guardians managed to get 2 birds with the same stone.
So I figured out a way to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Like this.
Quite literally 2. Yeah, sure, it might seem a bit cringe that the power of love and friendship helped them overcome the Power Stone, but the actual sequence was as godly as it could get. The visuals perfectly complemented the tone of the scene, and I loved how the Guardians had cracks of purple taken over their bodies. Of course, the main credit for this goes to Star-Lord, because those dance moves look like they'd get Michael Jackson out of his grave.
I will no longer be your slave!
No!
How they managed to pull this one off is beyond my understanding. Well, of course it must have taken a lot of time and effort to choreograph the whole thing, but I just want it to be dramatic. The church fight in the first ever Kingsman film set the bar for chaotic action sequences, and I must say that it was simply mwah. Watching Harry lose his mind and gun down all those people at the church actually reminded me of one of those epic Roman battles. You know, like the Spartans in 300? The way Harry effortlessly goes through each and every one of his opponents without getting a scratch is seriously top tier stuff. It's like he finished a video game and came back to level 1 with the added experience. I also like the subtle detail when Harry gets deafened by the noise of the explosion. He comes back to his senses for a bit and looks so confused, but then the signal takes over again and he resumes his turbo killer mode. Remember when Selena Gomez gave us the hit song Kill 'Em With Kindness? Yeah, I think the makers of Everything Everywhere All at Once were taking notes from that. After all the drama and fighting in God knows how many universes Evelyn had to go through, she finally decides to go the Waymond way and fight people with kindness. Like, I don't even know what I should feel while watching this scene. She's uniting couples, solving skeletal issues, and even going the extra step to spank a dude just to make him happy. Yeah, this was a whole mix of emotions, and what's godly about it is that Evelyn is solving her own problems as well as her enemies' issues at the same time. I, for one, was so happy to see this movie succeed because A24 really needed to start making some money, you know? Also, how can I not support one of my favorite Bond girls, Michelle Yeoh? They say good things come in small packages, and that's kind of what Jet Li's whole brand is about. Listen, I'm not hating on the guy. He's actually one of my favorite action stars to come out from Asia. One of his most popular films is Kiss of the Dragon, and the scene where he goes all out is when he casually takes down an entire dojo of fighters in the middle of evading a whole other gang. Like, you know, some serious stuff's gonna go down once you see him rolling up his sleeves. The choreography of the whole thing is obviously great, but the very fact that Liu Jian can take on so many skilled dojo fighters as part of a side mission goes on to show how much of an S-tier character he really is. I wonder if getting smacked by Jet Li counts as a kiss of the dragon. Yeah, I know, I think my humor's broken. It's no surprise that Tom Cruise loves to do all of his own stunts. It kind of became part of his brand on his way to becoming one of the biggest superstars to have ever walked the face of the earth. Apart from the countless classics he's been a part of, Tom's no stranger to the franchise model, and he's owned it with his role as Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible. Dead Reckoning Part 1 was a promising first half to what I'm hoping will be an excellent second installment, but the focus of my entry here is the bike jump scene. Yeah, this is kind of like the big daddy of all jump scenes, and Mr. Cruise smoothly pulls it off like it's just another Monday. How do you even get the confidence to go like, yeah, let's jump off an insanely high cliff today while riding a bike? It'll be so cool. If I were to do a stunt like this, I'd probably remember God, and for all we know, he might just be Tom Cruise himself. As time passes by, I start to appreciate older films a lot more, even if they happen to be released in 2014. Lucy hasn't really aged well as the producers would have liked, especially with all the internet Karens out there with their fake facts radar. However, art is subjective, and the finale of this film was a whole other trip in itself. I remember talking about how this sequence reminded me of the Star Child scene in 2001: A Space Odyssey. While Lucy may not hold a candle to Stanley Kubrick's eternal classic, the homage it pays to the film was a nice little addition. The part where she connects with the primitive humans just hits different because the whole vibe is quite surreal. I don't think I need to explain how this is a God mode scene, because Lucy literally becomes a part of evolution itself. I mean, she could have probably started a whole new religion if she wanted to. You know, it might be easy to just make fun of films like Kung Fu Hustle, but the whole idea of movies of this nature is to highlight the effects of excess. That's what happens in the final battle too. Singh doesn't look like he's getting anywhere with his opponent, but it's only when he uses the Buddhist palm technique that he manages to stop him and also find peace. Like, this one's literally got Buddha's name on it, so I had to include the scene, but it's the impact with which Singh lands the finisher move that makes it special. Yeah, I know that it's a bit too ridiculous from a plot and writing perspective, but that's not what these films are there for in the first place. Huge shout out to the Beast played by Siu Lung Lueng. That guy knows how to look ferocious and calculative at the same time.
I surrender!
I just had to include this scene because it's like the holy bible of combat fighting in Asian cinema. Rama's pretty much a celebrity on my channel at this point, as he's earned all of my praises. The hallway fight scene is an interesting one because at first, Rama's trying to avoid his attackers, but when it actually comes down to fighting, he doesn't hold back and gives them all a thrashing. It's as if he just didn't want the added inconvenience. That Dutch angle kick and the overhead shot right after combine nicely to give us a neat piece of cinematography. See, your boy actually does his research before uploading his videos. As far as the actual fight goes, there's a point where Rama goes back and forth with two goons as if he's playing human ping pong. Need I say more? Leave it to Quentin Tarantino to give us a scene that makes no sense in the real world. I mean, in all fairness, Uma Thurman does look like she could play a goddess with ease, so seeing the bride defeat 88 crazy Yakuza fighters in one scene didn't seem as far-fetched as one might actually assume. Like, if anyone can beat 88 skilled warriors like that, you can bet your bottom dollar that I'm going to be worshipping them every single day. If you look at some of the moves the bride pulls on these goons, it shouldn't make sense at all. Like, this isn't how it would play out in the real world, and that's even after considering the normal buffer between real and real life. I guess that's what the holy power does to you, eh? Also, kudos to Uma for spanking that kid. He was clearly following the wrong career path. You know, people keep saying that we need to snap out of the Matrix, but just look at Keanu Reeves. He's doing amazing in the real world, and even as Neo, he scores a huge W when he believes in the Matrix. Bro literally became the one after acknowledging that his reality is a computerized product. What stands out the most is the way he stomps those bullets, because that totally gave me Jesus Christ vibes. Yeah, I know it shouldn't make any sense, but just imagine Keanu with a beard and BC clothing in this scene. Even the way he fights Agent Smith after his new upgrade made it seem like he was an ethereal entity. It was at this moment where he became the god of the Matrix, and if that's how we like to refer to the real world, then technically speaking, we must all bow down to Neo as our true Lord and Savior. Help! Okay, this is a literal god blasting the living daylights out of another god, so it's an obvious choice for this list. Thor was nowhere to be found earlier, but that's only because I wanted to keep him closer to the top. After all, it's not every day you get to unleash your strongest bolt of lightning on your murderous sister. Hela's a pretty scary villain, and she does survive the blast, which is kind of why this entry isn't higher. But I don't think Thor has ever tapped into his whole God of Thunder vibe as much as he did over here. The peak moment was of course when his eyes go blue and his sister goes boom. Add some epic Led Zeppelin music to the background and you found yourself an absolute winner. It's It's top 10 territory now, and we're kicking things off with a classic father-son face-off. They say that you should always be proud of your heritage, but if your dad can take the size of a planet and his literal name is Ego, then I'm not sure you can blame Star-Lord for losing it. Also, let's not forget that his dad basically admitted to being responsible for his mom's death. Yeah, that sucks, but to be fair, at least Peter has godly powers in him. Ego was the first Celestial that we saw in the MCU, so the battle between him and his son was always going to be a sight to behold. It was filled with the kind of ferocity that you wouldn't normally see in a Guardians film, so 4 points to James Gunn for trying something a little bit different. It would have been great if Peter could have kept his powers even after this battle, but love trumps everything else, doesn't it?
You shouldn't have killed my mom and squished my Walkman.
The world of martial arts is a fairly populated one, and its favourite celebrity is Bruce Lee. It was such a tragedy to lose him at such a young age, because the influence he had on Hollywood and martial arts simply can't be ignored. You can hire as many actors as you want to play him, but you just can't match the energy that he brings to the table. If you look at the Japanese dojo scene from Fist of Fury, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, I'm a huge fan of Japanese art and culture, but you can't just go around disrespecting a legend like the way those students did before this scene. They were asking for a whooping, and our man provides it with ease and grace. If beating the students wasn't badass enough, bro even challenged their sensei and came out on top. Yeah, you're always better off praying to Bruce Lee than making fun of his skills.
Surround him!
Not giving Ben Affleck a solo Batman movie was a travesty, and I've now actually come to terms with that reality. Now I know why he was looking so sad at the Grammy Awards. The reason I'm saying this is because Batfleck has given us a lot of memorable scenes. Just look at the warehouse attack where he saved Superman's mom. Bro literally did the Man of Steel's job for him and even got shot in the head, but kept on fighting as if it was just a slight niggle. The kind of rage and power on display here is easily a God mode flex, and you know it. His lightning blast on Hela might not have got him into my top 10, but the Wakanda entry is always a sure shot entry into my coveted section. I'll keep praising this scene till the end of time, because it almost feels like heavenly bliss whenever I watch him strike Stormbreaker into the ground. No, I'm serious. Find me a better entrance than this one, and I'll wait for your replies in the comments, okay? This wasn't just about the God of Thunder flexing his powers, it was also about him showing up in the nick of time to save his friends and avenge his loved ones, even if one of them happens to be an annoying adopted brother. I'm still hoping for a Thor cameo in Loki Season 2, fingers crossed. Lord of the Rings will always be that franchise, as long as you don't count whatever the heck Amazon Prime is trying to do with the source material. When Sir Ian McKellen isn't busy bothering the X-Men as Magneto, he's fighting demons as Gandalf. If I were to choose a holy moment between those characters, it would have to be Gandalf's fight against the Balrog monster in Fellowship of the Ring. Not only is he dressed for the part, bro's line delivery is all it takes to pre-register his seat in heaven. It's kind of ironic that a line like, "You shall not pass," actually helped the character pass the audience's approval test.
You shall not pass!
Donnie Yen will always find love on my lists, and Ip Man is always a safe bet when it comes to God mode flexes. Beating 10 black belt karate fighters is more than enough to earn your own cult following, and Ip Man does it with so much ease that you can't help but wonder if you're getting scammed by your own karate teacher. I've already spoken about the fight choreography and the realistic nature of the scene in my previous videos, but here's a piece of trivia that you might like. Ip Man was an actual martial artist who'd mastered the form of Wing Chun when he was just 20 years old. He trained a few people who'd go on to become martial artists as well, and it's widely believed that Bruce Lee was one of them, but that theory's been under debate recently. If you can lift the weapon of a god, then you fall under the same category, at least for as long as you're holding the weapon. Steve Rogers reached the peak of his fighting abilities against Thanos when he used Mjolnir to wreak havoc. The moment where he summons lightning is probably the most epic visual that I've ever seen of him, but the question remains to be asked, is Captain America only useful when he's got stuff that's supposed to belong to other people? First the Stark shield, and now Thor's hammer. Where does it end, Steve? You're supposed to be setting an example for the kids watching your movies, you know. The most epic villain to ever come out of the Star Wars franchise is Darth Vader, and there's absolutely no questioning it. Bro made the dark side so famous that even brands like Apple and Instagram have followed suit. Of course, I'm here to talk about god-level displays, so I'll give the usual order once again. The Rampage scene in Rogue One's finale will always be a highlight for me because of how true he is to his own nature. It's like he activated the dark side to the dark side. I call it the force of inception. It was of course an impressive moment, and nothing in the Star Wars universe will ever be able to match the impact that this scene had. King of the Monsters is a suitable title for the beast that rules them all, and none come close to Godzilla in that department. I mean, bro literally has God in his name. If reputation isn't enough to stake his claim, then look no further than the final battle against King Ghidorah. It's well established that there's no other monster out there that can match the triple-headed dragon, so for Godzilla to unleash his nuclear mode and decimate his opponent to shreds was an S-tier flex. That final roar with the monsters bowing down to him pretty much immortalized him in the holy book of the beasts. I'm just really looking forward to seeing Monarch on Apple TV+. It's just another chance to see Godzilla content. Could it have been anyone else? When I started this video, I said that our idols don't need to be deities. As a matter of fact, they can be humans too. As long as your heart's in the right place and you have the determination to do the right thing, then you're not bound by labels. That's exactly why Iron Man is the undisputed god of the MCU. When he snapped Thanos out of existence and saved the whole universe, he united every single living soul. They all had one person to thank for their lives, and it was none other than Tony freaking Stark. This is why he'll always be my numero uno.
And I am Iron Man.
Hope you liked the video. Please subscribe to the TV Regent, and here's another video that I know you're going to enjoy.